So, what ethnic are the yaks based on exactly? Pakistani, Scottish, Viking, Chinese? God, I can't make up my mind. How am I supposed to start this review with a joke without knowing exactly what ethnic they're based on?
Cheese.
The moment I've been waiting for is here. Pinkie Pie's first official Season 5 episode. Was it worth the wait? Well, that depends on how much you can handle its randomness. And in terms of randomness, it accomplishes just that. Twilight and the other girls are preparing for the arrival of a yak prince to celebrate the reopening of their borders. Unfortunately, things don't go exactly as planned when the yaks demand everything to be perfect and smash anything that isn't. As things continue to get worse, it falls to Pinkie Pie's party in order to please the yaks, but it turns out even Pinkie Pie is nervous about the whole thing. She's encouraged by Gummy to travel to Yakistan to learn more about their culture and bring back something to satisfy the prince, while everyone else is left to deal with him and his constant smashing. The episode's greatest strength by far is the randomness in its humor. It knows this, and it totally engulfs itself in it. Every other second of this episode features something coming completely out of left field. Something that probably would have gotten old if it wasn't for the humorous and even creative ways that each one is done. It's like the episode has the viewer completely off guard constantly. You think one thing is gonna happen and then it does something that is the exact opposite of what you'd expect. At least if you don't care for the episode's runtime. And in all fairness, the episode makes the most out of its random nature by doing all sorts of random things for the sake of its humor. Applejack didn't find Pinkie, but she did find Granny's old denters. Why? Because they can. Sheep are blocking the trains. Why? Because they can. Just when you think Pinkie Pie is going to fall to her doom, she's rescued by the Wonderbolts and takes a break from her quest to go on a tour with the Beatles. Why? Because they can. You think the episode is going to lead up to some interesting world building, but it turns out that Pinkie Pie's trip was a huge waste of time with a complete cop-out. Why? Because they can. Twilight is afraid of quesadillas. Why? Nah, you already know the answer to that. There's just this sense of innocence in the episode's randomness in that it knows that some of these things were completely pointless to the plot, but it has fun with that randomness to help the execution of these jokes to be successful. I guess it's like what Buck said. There's no real formula to what makes a joke work, so the episode might as well do whatever it wants to be funny. The subplot involves the other characters occupying the yaks. It's just so amusing seeing them resorting to so many desperate measures in the hopes that something will please them, only to get the same response each time. The desperation of all the main six, and even Spike, seems to work off the rather predictable humor of the yaks really well. They all have rather funny reactions, and seeing Twilight reverting to her paranoia is always a treat.
You're right. Remember, Equestria and Yakistan haven't opened their borders for hundreds of moons. In fact, Yakistan is so far north of the Crystal Mountains, no pony's even been there. Imagine the look on Princess Celestia's face when she finds out we made friends with a yak prince. I'm calm.
But you one crazy ass bitch!
As for the yaks themselves, I can see a lot of people thinking they overstay their welcome. It does get really old that their humor revolves around smashing anything that isn't perfect. Personally, I thought it was kind of funny. Maybe what makes it funny for me is that their humor is so repetitive and that you know what's coming, and when the punchline finally occurs, you end up enjoying yourself with its repetitiveness. It can even be funny wondering how many times they're willing to repeat the exact same joke and how long they're willing to keep it going out of some kind of obvious desperation. Like they honestly for the life of them couldn't think of anything else, so they just do the exact same thing over and over and over. I don't know, personally, it didn't bother me and I found it funny. The episode also likes to have fun with the characters' facial expressions. There are so many different facial reactions from each of the characters, ranging from silly to crazy to absolutely insane. It makes you wonder what exactly is going on in the minds of the animators when they're putting this together. Are they really just as crazy as the animation they used to bring the episode to life? Did they just want to troll the audience? Either way, there's just so much to enjoy in how crazy the expressions are. I will admit that the episode's comedy at certain points does run a little dry, such as the carriage stallions somehow running in their sleep, and like I said before, the humor of the yaks can be repetitive for most people. But if you're into that kind of dumb little bit of humor, then it shouldn't keep you from enjoying the episode. The main story arc, of course, is Diane traveling to Yakistan, and it's pretty fun to see her working off a scenario on her own. She's pretty successful at occupying the viewer's time by narrating her quest to herself, but always ending it by involving someone else by saying, "You know what I mean?" She also does a lot of fun stuff before she starts her quest. The process of her nervous breakdown is fairly well paced, and it's just as crazy, if not crazier, than everyone else's desperation in satisfying the yaks. Aside from that, her random bubbly nature is present, with her doing all sorts of quirky things. Popping up from unexpected places, pulling objects out of thin air, even her always random dialogue, such as this line.
Trains had to stop, sheep decided to sit on the tracks.
Curse you, sheep!
I fucking love that line. The episode leads up to the other characters discovering a secret room in Sugar Cube Corner. How that room leads downward and doesn't go through any part of the store, I don't know. But it's here that we learn that Pinkie Pie is actually a very organized party planner. Not that she wasn't before, but this reveal helps to make it more detailed. After a bit in restoring her confidence, Pinkie Pie realizes just what the yaks needed. Instead of trying to appeal to foreigners by copying their lifestyle, you should show them all the good things that can be found in your own lifestyle. By showing them how great your country can be, you'll be helping them see how great it is to be different from others instead of trying to be like them. That's actually a pretty thoughtful moral, and it does help to make up for the pointlessness in Pinkie's conquest. Party Pooped is certainly a strange episode, but it manages to be strange in all the right ways. With its random humor and enlightening moral, it's one episode that I wouldn't mind seeing again sometime soon. MisAnthro Pony, over and wait! I know what the yaks inherit now! Hulk heritage!
Hulk! Smash! A bear